She and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa. But both were performed simultaneously. Therefore it's said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses, Madhya Lila chapter 20, verses 263 and 264, summarize these principles of incarnation. Srishti hetu ye murti, prapanche avatare, se ishvara murti avatara namadare, mayatita paravyome sabara avastana, vishve avatari dare, avatara nama. Translation: the avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. That was the translation of those two verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Prabhupada continues, there are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Shaktyavesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly, but not directly, in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. Yes, so the verse again. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Do you all know this verse? I mean, kind of got it memorized, would you say? Let's just do it responsively, all right? Because I assume at least many of you know it. So please repeat after me. Paritranaya sadhunam,
Paritranaya sadhunam,
vinashaya cha duskritam,
Vinashaya cha duskritam,
dharma samstapanartaya,
Dharma samstapanartaya,
sambhavami yuge yuge.
Sambhavami yuge yuge.
Good, thank you. So translation again, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear, millennium after millennium. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, well, of course, this is a very classic verse, and along with the verse just before, it's probably, certainly one of the best known verses in all of the scriptures that we study. Yes. And Krishna is describing here why he comes. 3 reasons that he states, at least 3 reasons: to deliver the pious, the sadhus, then to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. Yeah, 3 reasons. But here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is making it quite clear. Very nice point. It's just a very wonderful point, actually, that really the main reason is for the devotees, to appease. Of course, the verse says to deliver, so that's there. Prabhupada mentions about Devaki being delivered by the Lord from Kamsa. But then Prabhupada, just before that, Prabhupada says, as we mentioned, he especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are harassed. It's a fact. We're harassed even today. I mean, actually today, 23rd of August, we're harassed. Devotees are harassed. Different parts of the world. Yes. So those are 2 statements there about the Lord appearing for his devotees, to appease, and in the case of Devaki, to protect. Then Prabhupada mentions a 3rd reason, just a bit further down, that he descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees. And what are the anxieties of the pure devotees, as mentioned here? Do any of you remember? Yes.
They're anxious to participate, or at least appreciate Krishna's Vrindavan pastime.
Yes, well done. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees who are very anxious to see him. They're in anxiety, means they're anxious. So Prabhupada says they're anxious to see him. That's the main thing. Like Prahlad Maharaj, of course, Prabhupada mentions him there in the beginning of the purport, or earlier part. He was being harassed by his father. The Lord came and destroyed his father, protected him. But the thing was that Prahlad was not anxious about his father's attempts to kill him. In fact, he was so much protected. Can you hear at the back, or should we turn? It's okay, all right. Yeah, he was so much protected, he didn't even notice that he was in danger. We, of course, we will be in danger from time to time in different ways, and we tend to notice. But Prahlad, he was just in such another world of ecstatic Krishna consciousness, or Nrsimha consciousness, something like that. He didn't even notice. Just like in our seminar last night, those of you who were there in Midrand for the last session on Madhurya Kadambini, right at the end there, describing the devotee on the level of prema and just so overwhelmed and totally absorbed in love for Krishna. The statement was, he doesn't even notice, that he may not notice that his body, I think it said, has passed to the wind or something like that. It's just, which is sort of a poetic way of saying body just died, but you didn't even notice. We are not on that level. So, when the time comes, we assume, we will notice. I'm sure we'll notice. Yes, but these devotees, they don't. Well, in our cases, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 13 applies. Dhiras tatra na muyati. That the sober person is not bewildered by the whole phenomenon of the death of the body. That's more for people like us. I mean, it can be at least for people like us if we really try and focus in Krishna consciousness. We may be able to just pass through the experience without being overwhelmed completely and sort of, just lose it. We may be able to sort of handle the experience and come through on the other side. Yeah. But in the case of those devotees, they may not even notice that the body has died. But after a little while they notice, oh, wait a minute. What happened to my material body? Oh, it must have died. Oh, well, good. Good riddance to bad rubbish, as we used to say at school. So Prahlad was like that. He didn't notice all these very deliberate and even dramatic attempts being made to kill him. He just didn't notice it. Thrown off the cliff, and he's sailing down, and the Lord catches him and just places him on the ground. And then he climbs up quickly, and there's Hiranyakashipu at the top thinking, right, got him this time. He's finished. And suddenly Prahlad appears on top of the cliff again and says, Pita, Daddy, Papa, can we play that flying game again? Yeah, that was let's do it again. Hare Krishna. So yes, in so many cases the devotees are not panic-stricken by the sort of the apparent immediate possibility of death. They know it's got to happen sooner or later, so, whenever Krishna decides. But what the devotees are concerned about is that elsewhere Prabhupada says they miss Krishna. We've all lost someone in our lives, maybe a parent, or just someone died, or maybe someone just moved away to another part of the world or something, and we miss the person. So the devotees miss Krishna, and they really want to see Krishna and get his association and serve him, have some loving exchanges with him. Just like that song of George Harrison, My Sweet Lord. You know the words as well as I do. I really want to see you. I really want to be with you. But it takes so long, my Lord. My sweet Lord. You know too. My mother knew the words of that song. Anyway, Prabhupada said that this song, that song, is a song in separation from Krishna in the mood of Sanatana Goswami. Prabhupada said about that song. Missing the Lord, So that's really the main, not just that's really, but that is the main reason the Lord appears. When it comes to destroying the demons, well, Prabhupada in the purport, the verse, uses the word annihilate. He delivers the pious and he annihilates the miscreants. Annihilate is very, very strong word. You could say to kill, but if you say to annihilate, that's sort of like super killing, something along those lines. And the Sanskrit term reflects that. Vinash. Vinash. Nash means to destroy. And vi is a prefix of emphasis. It basically means to very, in this case, destroy. It's used positively with other words. Very wonderful, for example, very beautiful, something like that. But in this case, vinash means he very destroys them, not just ordinary destroy or ordinary kill. And we've mentioned before that it's in, what's it in? It's in it's either the third or fourth canto. And Lord Kapila, I think Lord Kapila is instructing Mother Devahuti, and he's now in the course of instructing Devahuti, he describes the form of the Lord, the Lord's appearance, his clothes, his ornaments, and in some detail the appearance of the Lord. Appearance in the sense of what he looks like. And he talks about the Lord's club. The Lord has his 4 characteristic symbols or things which he carries. The lotus and the conch are for the devotees. And and the club and the chakra are for the demons. So Prabhupada describes there. So in the verse, the club is mentioned. The club which is covered with the blood of the demons, who the Lord killed with it. And there Prabhupada refers to how the Lord, after he's killed a demon with the club, he doesn't clean it. Immediately, at least. he leaves some blood on it. And from time to time he picks it up and looks at it and remembers, yeah, that's the blood of whoever it was, some demon. And he remembers that, how I used it to kill him. I hit him in this way and then that way and another way, and then that was the end, and there's all the blood. Because he likes it. It's really a very positive experience for the Lord to kill the demons. Because even though the demons are ultimately eternal spirit souls, part and parcel of the Lord, and ultimately, they're devotees actually. But when they get into that state, and they go so extremely deeply into that state, then he's happy to just smash them. Because that's the only type of mercy that can help them at that point. If he tries to preach to them or give them some prasadam or something like that, yeah, they won't accept. Right. Yeah, so vinash. He doesn't just nash, destroy them or kill them, but he vinashes them. He very destroys them. Yeah. So the word, Prabhupada uses the word annihilate. Yes. Just like in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 verse 66, Sarvadharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. But anyway, Sarvadharma Parityajya, all forms of religion. What is Krishna saying to do? Abandon them. Abandon is another especially, emphatic term. He could have just said, give up, stop performing, something like that. And it's much more sort of gentle but abandon is a dramatic term. Like when a ship is sinking, they call out, we hear, abandon ship. Means just get off now. Just go. And don't, think about it or anything like that. Just do it. Abandon the ship. So abandon all those other forms of religion. Don't just say, okay, fair enough. I won't be participating in them from now on. But no, it's strong. It's a very strong term, abandon. And just surrender. Surrender is another dramatic term. It's a military term. Yeah, when the opposing side is about to annihilate your side, shall we say, then you may surrender. Yes, right. So, this is very nice, very interesting. But as Prabhupada mentions, he sort of briefly mentions that, the Lord comes, deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants. But Prabhupada makes the point that in order for the miscreants to be annihilated, he doesn't have to come. Because the miscreants, the demons, they are so much into destroying other people. They'll just destroy each other, which is what they do. They just destroy each other. That's sort of European history, political history, is of one king destroying another king, and then someone coming along and destroying that king. And that's sort of the history of Europe, political history. Yeah. So, if the Lord does not come to annihilate or just kill a certain demon, does not mean that that demon is not going to be killed. Like he's just going to live on. Of course he's not. If no other demon kills him, time will kill him. It's just as simple as that. So therefore, the Lord coming to vinashaya chaduskritam, to destroy, annihilate, kill the demons, it's not really like such a serious reason for him to come. And, we all know, I think, over the last, say, 100 years or whatever, something like that, in history as we know it, there have been some, by our standards, really horrific demons. Hitler, Stalin, these people, wow, talk about demons. Just sort of whimsically destroying so many people without a care. Yes. I read, for some reason anyway, I came across something about Hitler just not long ago, a few weeks ago, that when they were, they'd been smashed, all that was left was Berlin. And everywhere else their armies had been destroyed, or they'd all kind of retreated into Berlin. And now, all these Russians and Americans, etc., were encircling Berlin, and were just moving in deeper into Berlin every hour. Hitler gave an order that anyone who doesn't, who surrenders or talks about it, and who doesn't just keep fighting, maybe who retreats, that the other soldier, you must kill him. Haribol. That's our leader. Nice fellow. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Yes, so anyway, Hitler, Stalin, these people. Stalin killed more of his own people than the total number of people who were killed in the Second World War. And the Second World War was bad enough. That includes everyone. In the Second World War, he killed more of his own people, more Russians, than all the people killed, civilians, soldiers, whoever, in the Second World War. It got so bad that if anyone, they were given quotas. You must arrest and hand in or just kill, like sort of intellectual types and people like this, or just, intellectuals and people who are sort of anti-us. And so, they had quotas. They had to return with the quota, otherwise they would become the quota. Yeah. So, in the end, not in the end even, but at one point it got to the point that if someone was wearing glasses, it was assumed he was an intellectual. Sure. And he'd be arrested and either just killed or shipped out to Siberia. Something just too far gone. You would think, no, it couldn't be, but I'm sorry, it really was. And these people are doing these things now, like in Ukraine, in sort of Israel-Palestine. It's going on right now. Right, I mean, like at this actual minute, exactly these things are happening. You know, people who otherwise would be called innocent, you know, of course, karmically, that's another story, but on the surface, they, you know, some lady, some child, just being killed just like that. What can you say? So anyway, yeah, to destroy the demons, it doesn't require that Krishna comes. Like if he doesn't come to do it, it won't get done. It'll get done. And even re-establish the principles of religion. Dharma samsthapanartaya. If Krishna, of course Krishna came to re-establish Bhagavad Gita, particularly he spoke Bhagavad Gita, and he performed his pastimes. But generally speaking, it doesn't take Krishna coming for religion to become re-established if it's become lost in a particular place or area. Like even just our own experience with Srila Prabhupada. Where were we? I mean, where was the world in terms of Krishna consciousness? You know, even the Hindu world, very bewildered indeed. And even the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in a bit of a sort of messed up state. So Prabhupada came, and what he did, I mean, to re-establish religion in my life, what an achievement. You must get 11 out of 10. It's just like, you know, it's just not possible. But he did it. And the same applies more or less with all of us, isn't it? How our lives have become transformed. So much for the better by the influence of Srila Prabhupada. And, you know, Jesus and Muhammad, I don't know so much about him, but apparently he made some contribution of some sort. It's all a bit unusual. But Jesus in his way, yes. So like this, it doesn't necessarily take, of course the Lord can do that when he comes, and he does do that, but if he were not to come, doesn't mean that religion is not going to become re-established in places where it's been lost. It may well be. It may well be, and even like with Prabhupada all over the world, in all these distant and remote places, he re-established real religion. So these two, destroying the demons and re-establishing religion, these are not like absolute requirements, necessities for the Lord to appear. That if he doesn't, they're just not going to happen, it won't be possible. It's not like that. But to appease the devotees who just want to have the association of the Lord and serve him personally and see him, well, he has to appear. He has no choice. That's the only thing which will satisfy them, if he actually appears. But he himself, the Lord himself, it's not just like, oh gosh, it's the devotees again. Oh, they want to see me. Oh, well, okay, I guess I got to go down and appear in that on that crummy earth planet. But the Lord wants to see the devotees too. Yes. Those devotees, you know, it's one thing being in the spiritual world where everything is just ecstatic 24/7. It's another thing being a devotee in the material world, trying to spread Krishna consciousness in the material world. I mean, sometimes it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's very difficult. Yeah, and sometimes devotees get abused and locked up. You know, in Russia, just very recently, some weeks ago, I imagine you heard about it, Bhakti Vikash Swami. He had just arrived, as far as I know, he just arrived in the country, and he went to this one city where he has a fairly substantial number of disciples. It's sort of like his main place in Russia. And they're having a festival, and he was just standing there. He was not giving a class or leading a kirtan. He was just standing there, and they arrested him. Then they held him in jail for, I think it was 10 days. And then they kicked him out of the country. Yeah. And Prabhu Vishnu Prabhu, he was arrested right on the other side, Vladivostok, it's near Japan. And he was held in a room full of illegal immigrants from Vietnam and places like that who tried to sneak in through the back door into Russia in some sort of big hall full of these people, just full to the brim with these people. And he was there for a week, 5 or 6 days or a week, something like that. So anyway, yes. So here in the material world, it's one thing that the Lord appreciates the devotees in the spiritual world. He does. He appreciates all devotees. But in the material world, dealing with all the phenomena of life in this material world, and really trying to spread Krishna consciousness and help the people, so many of whom don't want to be helped, have no idea that they need to be helped. Rather, they think you're sort of just interfering with them by pushing them to take Krishna consciousness. So therefore the Lord wants to come to see these devotees. The devotees want to see him, but the Lord wants to see them too. So yeah, it's not just, coming to this material world, which by his standards, in terms of environmental standards, how about climate standards, it's not so nice. In Goloka Vrindavan, at least generally, they don't have winters like we do in Johannesburg. And our winters in Johannesburg, believe me, they're extremely mild. Oh gosh. They are just so mild compared to winters in many other places. In many other places, really. So, yes. So the Lord doesn't come to just enjoy life in the material world. He comes because his devotees want him to come, and nothing other than him coming will satisfy them. But he comes because he wants to see the devotees and appreciate the devotees and reciprocate with the devotees who he just feels are just really wonderful people. That's all of you. You're all devotees. Of course, there are devotees and devotees, but you're all devotees. if you got that. There are different levels of devotees. But anyone who's been trying, particularly those who've been trying to help spread Krishna consciousness, that's what Krishna notes. I mean, anyone who's just chanting their rounds and so on, he appreciates. But Prabhupada says here that, and right at the end of the purport, that, what is it? That the Lord comes, Kali Yuga, as Lord Chaitanya to spread the Sankirtan movement. Yes, and Prabhupada says, the devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Yes, so, some of you are preaching directly, at least from time to time. Some of you are quite actively preaching. We were just at the university, UJ, in the middle of the day, with Dineshwar Krishna Prabhu. And I tell you what, is he preaching Krishna consciousness? It is amazing. It's just truly amazing. And it's just the fact Krishna's watching him and Krishna's appreciating so much. Yeah, and now Dwarkadish Prabhu and Mother Rukmini Priya, they're getting into the program. They're going to become like him, living to preach, unable to live if they can't preach. So yeah, but in simple terms, or a sort of a bottom line, you can say that we as aspiring devotees, we should try to find some way we can help the Sankirtan movement. If you can help it by doing it, just going out and meeting the people, in one way or another, there are different ways to meet people. Yeah, or by helping those who are doing it. This is really, we should try and involve ourselves in the Sankirtan movement, directly or indirectly, as much as we're able, put it that way. Yes, because that's the thing in Kali Yuga. The thing is Sankirtan movement. The other things, even deity worship, fire sacrifice, silent meditation, they have their places. They're glorious activities, but they really have their places as parts of the Sankirtan movement, or in the context of the Sankirtan movement, like prasadam distribution. We were there at UJ, and we had, how many did you count?
225.
225 students. Yes, for the program. And when the prasadam was distributed at the end, they really went for it. They really went for it. So cooking prasadam is very important part of the Sankirtan movement. Prabhupada, there's one little story. Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, where just shortly after we acquired what is still our current temple in Los Angeles, quite a big building. So, it was Sunday, so he gave the class for the Sunday program. Then the program finished, but then someone came to speak to him. So he would have just gone, but he waited there and spoke with the person for a while, like maybe 15 minutes or something. Then he came out, and there they often take prasadam on the front lawn between the building and the road. So, like a couple of hundred people gathered there, sitting down and taking prasadam and talking away. And Prabhupada came out and saw this scene, people taking prasadam and really just relishing it. And Prabhupada said, if it wasn't for prasadam, I don't think I would have made any disciples. Can you imagine life without prasadam? Yeah, so it's important. And deity worship's important. You know, if it's done with sort of a view, at least with a mind towards how the deities may appear attractive to the people. I remember we were when we were distributing books in Ireland, it was like 75, 76 that I was doing it. And we would stay in one monastery, Cistercian monastery. They're vegetarian. And they had a guest house. And the monks, basically, they just live inside. It's called cloistered environment. They never contact the people from outside. But there was one person, he would deal with the outside world for everything, whatever. Visitors, buying stuff. And his name was Oliver. And we used to call him Bhakta Oliver. And Bhakta Oliver, one day, we showed him photos of Radha Landanishwara. You know, like, not huge, but 8 by 10s, kind of moderate size. And he was so impressed, not just impressed, but moved by Krishna. He said, he's so beautiful. Do you worship him? We said, yes, we do. He said, yes, yes, very nice. So, it's important, deity worship, as a part of the Sankirtan movement. Anyway, you know, we should try and develop this type of consciousness, approach to life in Krishna consciousness. And because Krishna appreciates that the most. Yeah. I mean, we can always, at night, we can sleep for Krishna. Actually, yeah. Because if you don't sleep, the next day, you know, you won't be able to do much for Krishna. So we sleep for Krishna. But it's not such an important service. It's just to recharge the batteries. So Hare Krishna devotees. So on Monday is Sri Krishna Janmashtami. What an important day. You know, if you thought that Balaram's appearance day was important, I mean, wow, we had such programs. It was non-stop. Non-stop. Yeah. But Krishna's appearance day is sort of another level altogether. So let's get geared up and get focused and ready to really make the most of Krishna Janmashtami and try and, well, first of all, you know what our mantra is? Chanting, dancing and fasting. Yeah. So we'll be fasting till midnight, blissfully. And let's do some service. Let's do some special service. Because the Lord and his devotees, like his special devotees, they're more approachable on their appearance days. Particularly the Lord and different forms of the Lord. And so we can, on that day, we can make some special prayers. We've got a couple of days in between. We can work out or locate some special prayers and offer them during the course of the day for the pleasure of the Lord on his appearance day. Do some service. Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsava ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Yes, okay, devotees. So there you go. Shall we have a little kirtan?
Yes.
Let us have a little kirtan, and then I assume there'll be prasad, yes. Hare Krishna. So let us stand up.